have the exclusive possibility of interviewing the founder of one of my favorite niche brands, BORNTOSTANDOUT. Would you kindly introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. Those of you that are watching and not familiar with our brand. My name is Jun Lim. I'm the founder and creative director at BORNTOSTANDOUT.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Likewise.
BORNTOSTANDOUT for me is one of the most interesting modern niche brands because you really go out of the ordinary and create things that might not take inspiration from other scents, but do your own thing. How did you start your brand? What was your initial vision when you started BORNTOSTANDOUT?
As the name suggests, the idea of BORNTOSTANDOUT, not thinking about the social boundaries that are set by people we don't even know. So that was the starting point, and that was exactly the message I wanted to convey to people of Korea, to my fans, and to the consumers. That was the starting point. And to translate this into a artistic review, I have this obsessive thought of what makes certain things original. The notion of originality is the primary focus of every.
The question I want to ask you is not necessarily fragrance related, because on the Men's Improvement channel we also talk about mindset and pursuing your dreams. And I would lie if this was the first time I saw you, because last year I attended Essence where you had by far the prettiest booth at the convention, and I was trying to get a hold of you like for a short small talk and gathering perhaps a picture, but you were the encapsulation of a real life workaholic. You were walking around the aisles, you were power walking, almost sprinting from one meeting to the next. How do you keep that workflow? How do you constantly do things on and on and on without ever getting too tired or still pursuing whatever you're doing?
That's also a question that I throw to myself quite often. How do I keep myself motivated? Because to keep going is to keep yourself motivated. Right? Think about what you're doing, and if what you're doing is something that you dearly want to pursue. And I feel very fortunate and feel extremely motivated because I am doing what I love the most all my life. Like I said, I've been collecting fragrance all my life for more than 20 years. I don't think I can have any sort of complaints or demotivating factors working in an industry which I have obsessive passion about. Having a key motivating factor is what keeps me going. The fact that I have a perfume brand, being part of this industry, that I have fans that dearly, dearly love and appreciate my creations, my brands, and being in this community, it's very fortunate. So I like to think positively and think that I'm the most fortunate person and keep appreciating it.
So pursuing the brand success, that what keeps you motivated?
Not necessarily success, commercial success, but being immersed in this industry, interacting with people like you. This is what can't ignore them.
Okay, so you appreciate the thought of the community and
Exactly.
that the brand of yours gets the attention that it deserves.
Yeah.
For people that might not have tried your fragrances yet, what are some of your fragrances you can recommend to people, both for perhaps beginners or some intermediate?
Well, I would say find your taste first. What it is that you like. There are different tastes.
True.
And there's no such thing as good taste or bad taste. It's just your taste. Right? So I think it's important that you find your taste. But those that are newly entering, of course, into the world of artistic perfumery, especially our brand, Young Lovers is always a good starting point as our bestseller. Really writes this one. Nanatopia is one, which is an easy to understand concept and vibe. Once you're used to our fragrances, we have this extreme collection, which is overly diffusive, overly long-lasting, too long. And these are some collection that I would recommend for both beginners as well as those that are already immersed into the world of perfume.
If you might have watched some of my previous videos, guys, Black Mango from the Straight Extended Collection was my most favorite fragrance from 2025, and Nanatopia is my second favorite from the brand. So these recommendations from Jun I can also highly recommend. Since your brand is very original, since you like the thought of something being extremely original and something that's never been done before. What do you take your inspirations from them? Because it's very difficult to come up with something completely original. How do you take inspiration from something? What do you take inspiration from?
Originality is also an attitude. The attempt to try something new. The attempt to not think about what is going on. Yes, of course, whatever is original is coming from accumulation of whatever I have learned over the years. But originality is also an attitude, a mindset that you have to have, especially in this industry. It does not mean that everybody is a copy. Like I said, keep the originality as an attitude. That's my foremost attitude that I have onto our brand. But one of the easiest ways to stay original is stay personal. The most personal is the most original. We don't have the same experience. You and I don't share the experience. And that could be always a starting point. And then start borrowing other people's opinion. For instance, we use perfumers' personal experiences as inspiration for new fragrances as well. Again, stay personal.
That is very good advice because many people are scared nowadays to really do what they feel they want to do because they are scared of not really fitting in. That's why they might take inspiration for something that already exists. Since Born to Stand Out is a very huge brand globally, I know you also do other things like fragrance tags. You just mentioned that you're doing something very exclusive with parrots. Coffee. It's scented coffee. I can tell you one thing. I have a very strange taste in fragrances, but the coffees were too much for me. So that tells you what's going on. But do you have plans of dabbling into other industries and parts of consumerism?
The reason why we are using coffee or other categories we are releasing there soon, these are also categories where scent or aroma is a very important factor in the purchase decision or usage decision. So I want to tackle industries that are kind of stale, stagnated, that are not so much developed in terms of new players as much as perfume has been. Yet at the same time, an industry which I think also use fragrance as a key differentiator. So that's the reason why I'm
Jun, what is your prior background before becoming a founder, creative director, and how has that helped you in your pursuit of success with your brand?
My career, of course, was in finance. I was an investment banker. But of course, that the whole experience of investment banker, working excessively and understanding business models of thousands of companies, it helps you understand shaping business models. Because I was an expert in retail and cosmetics, so I knew how to create a business model, and that's one of the reasons why we're a more stable company, I would say. I was able to take risks, right? Because of course, starting a business is a scary thing.
Yes.
And do it. Sorry, I'm sleepy because of jet lag. But one of the things that I say in the schools that I teach, and when students ask me when they should start, is of course when you are willing to take that risk. Even after you take that risk, there is nothing much to lose. Of course, it's a risk that I cannot force you to take. Depends on what kind of life situation or stage you are. If you really love perfume too much, like I did, and that you have the room to take the risk, and I would highly suggest that.
Because you might see what's on the other side of the risk. Exactly. For people out there who want to pursue your dream, what are your biggest advice for someone who wants to take the leap of faith to actually pursue their dream?
I highly recommend them to do it if they really have an obsessive thought like I did. But one of the key advice, and one of the key things when I notice they think they're ready, but they're not ready. They're thinking like corporate. They're taking decisions like corporate. You are an entrepreneur. You are a solo entrepreneur. And the beauty of being a solo entrepreneur is that you have a much bigger room to take versus the corporate who cannot afford to fail. I met actually a handful of people during these ventures that I do, and where they show me a lot of fragrances and they show me business models. And one of them said, "This is my citrus fragrance, this is my floral fragrance, this is my woody fragrance, this is my leather fragrance." He was just thinking of this perfume wheel, and he was just trying to tick the boxes, just trying to see if he's ready. And the set of scents that he was trying to create was very, very underwhelming, let's just say. And I gave him very, very honest. Like, you, as an indie brand, I don't see a purpose of your existence. There is no strong differentiating factor from my perspective as a nerd who buys a lot of fragrances. There's no story. It's like, what is the edge that you have versus the corporates or other indie brands? There was none. Really look back, see if you are really, really ready. And if you have this one clear factor that you can strongly recommend, say that this is the reason why you should buy our fragrances. But for instance, if your thought is, of course, I understand you want to minimize the risk, but that does not minimize the risk. Right? What I gave you as an example, it does not minimize the risk at all. It's only increasing the risk. You are a solo entrepreneur. You are an indie brand. The biggest asset that you have as a starting brand, you can afford to go as crazy as you like. That's my biggest advice. So go all crazy. And the point is that it's not a risk. That's my point. What you are doing, what you think you are doing is right, correct, and lower risk is actually not a low risk. It is actually a higher risk.
Because there's other competitors that are matching what you do to some extent.
Give consumers a clear reason why they should buy the fragrances. We live in a society of over-consumerism. Why should we buy this? That's my point.
Something completely different. Your style is very minimal, but still very contemporary. What are the pieces that you are wearing?
Like your fashion?
Yes. So what are you wearing right now? Tell me a little about it here.
I like comfort, but I'm a very simple man. I like to be very simple, but statement. Right? So I always wear black pieces. You will not see a piece in my closet that is even off black. There's not even navy. So everything that I buy is usually 100% black. One of the reasons is I'm a simple man. Like I said, I don't want to think about what I wear on a daily basis. But of course, when I travel, I want to make sure there's comfort, yet at the same time, statement pieces. So Simiaki is what I'm wearing from top to bottom. It's very comfortable. At the same time, it has a style, it has an edge. Right? It's like I said in the previous question, there is a clear language, and there's a clear reason why people buy this. I think this is a Bond collaborative brand that I'm not. It's cute.
It's actually not just black. So that's
It's a bit of a dark purple, but it has strawberries and bananas. And On running shoes is known as like granddaddy shoes, but for me, the most comfortable travel shoes ever. Like I own 5 of the same pieces, not this version, but I have the original.
this reference.
Yeah, this reference. I buy 5 of the same shoes. That's kind of my style because this is the most comfortable shoes, and I want to make sure that everything feels new and fresh and clean.
One takeaway: if there is something that you like in terms of clothing, buy multiples, then you can have them. And I can't not unsee your beautiful watch. What's the watch that you wear?
It's a 2010 Cartier Santos. It's the gold Santos with the black dial.
But it's absolutely beautiful. Fits the outfit very well because it's black on black, of course, but there is a hint of some gold in there as well.
Yeah, by hint.
Really somewhat of a watch enthusiast.
Well, I used to be back in the days, but not anymore. But I love Cartier. Very timeless brands, classic, still stylish. The small vintage tanks, the muscle Cartier tanks that are good, so beautiful. For us, we're like history. We love knowing about the history, the storytelling. I'm not a fan of these oversized modern watches that are just stainless steel, overly like shiny. Of course, watches are also a way to express your identity. But for me, I like watches with meanings, storytelling, and also style. Not like overly shiny, fancy. Rolex is something I would never wear, especially gold Rolex. That would be like, I don't need approval, right? When you look at people with these status symbols, I feel like they're very insecure. That I also question, like, did they have a very bad childhood? That they have to buy these fancy things.
As if they're looking for someone else's approval.
Exactly.
Their own.
Exactly. They're looking for validation, right? That there's no originality again. Find what you love, not others. Not like wear for yourself and not for.
Jun, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for this slightly longer interview. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much.
Bye.